If you're wondering how you can create a deer logo in Illustrator, then you're in the right place. Hi there everyone, my name is Andrei Marius. I've been working in Illustrator for over 10 years, and in this Envato Tuts Plus tutorial, I'll put my experience to use as I show you step by step how you can create this deer logo using Adobe Illustrator. Before we begin, make sure to check out Envato Elements, where you can get unlimited downloads of stock videos, music, graphics, photos, fonts, and many more, all ready to use and with simple commercial licensing. You can subscribe right now with the link in the description. Now let's move to Illustrator to create a new document. Select pixels from this drop-down menu, set the width and the height to 850 pixels. Make sure that the color mode is set to RGB and the resolution to 72 pixels per inch. And then you can click this button to create your new document. Press Ctrl and plus a few times to zoom in on your artboard. Go to Window in the menu bar and open the Info panel, the Layers panel, and the Pathfinder panel. Make sure that the Control panel is active and then enable the Grid and also the Snap to Grid feature. For this tutorial, you need a grid line every 5 pixels, so let's go to Edit, Preferences, Guides and Grid. Just enter 5 in this grid line every box. Click OK, and now as you can see you have a grid line every 5 pixels. And now that you're set with your grid, let's start by selecting the rectangle tool from your toolbar. Simply click on your artboard to create a 95 by 140 pixels rectangle. Switch to the direct selection tool and use it to select just this point. Drag it 70 pixels up like this, and keep in mind that you can have a look inside the info panel to know exactly when you get to 70 pixels. Continue with this point, select it and just press the delete key to remove it. You can also remove the fill color and then continue with the ellipse tool. Again, click on your artboard and create a 60 pixel circle. Let's move it in this exact location. Keep it selected and go to Object, Path and add anchor points. Switch back to the direct selection tool and use it to select all of these points. Hold down the Shift key to also add to your selection this point, and then you can press the delete key to remove all of your selected points. Now use the selection tool to select both of these paths and press Ctrl J to join your two paths. Reselect the direct selection tool and use it to select just these points so that you can set the corners radius to 45 pixels. And then use the selection tool to reselect your entire path so that you can adjust the stroke. First of all, increase the weight to 30 pixels and then open the stroke flyout panel so that you can select this profile. You need to move this sharp edge to the top of the path, so let's go to Object, Path and Reverse Path Direction, and then reselect the ellipse tool from your toolbar. Use it to create a 180 pixel circle. Let's align it with the bottom edge of the existing path and then drag it 15 pixels down. Keep in mind that you can hold down the Shift key as you click and drag to constrain the movement of your shape. So let's make it 15 pixels. Then drag this circle to the left and align it with the left edge of this path. Now drag your circle 35 pixels to the right in this position. Keep it selected and go to Object, Path and add anchor points. Continue with the direct selection tool and use it to select these 5 points so that you can delete them. And then return to the control panel to increase the stroke weight of your remaining path to 30 pixels. And also select this same profile. Again, go to Object, Path and Reverse Path Direction, which will move the sharp edge to the top. And now that you've got this second path, let's reselect the ellipse tool to add a new one. Start with a 150 pixel circle. For the beginning, let's align the left edge of this shape with the left edge of the existing paths. Drag your circle 55 pixels to the right like this. Now align the bottom edge of your circle with the bottom edge of the existing paths, and then drag your circle 70 pixels down like this. Keep your circle selected and go to Object, Path, and Add Anchor Points. Continue with the Direct Selection tool and use it to select just these 5 points so that you can delete them. Keep the remaining path selected. Increase the stroke weight to only 15 pixels and select this same profile. And then reselect the ellipse tool to add one more path. For this one, you'll need a 90 pixel circle, so let's create it. Start by aligning it with the top edge of this path and drag it 25 pixels down. And then move it to the left until the right edge of your circle is perfectly aligned with this other path. When you're done, reselect your circle and go one more time to Object, Path, and Add Anchor Points. Continue with the Direct Selection tool and use it to select these 5 points. Remember that you need to hold down the Shift key to add anchor points to your selection. Once you have all these anchor points selected, press the Delete key to remove them, and then let's adjust the stroke weight. Make it 10 pixels. Again, select this same profile, and don't forget to go to Object, Path, and Reverse Path Direction to move the sharp end to the other end of the path. Continue by selecting all of your paths and go to Object, Path, and Outline Stroke to turn your strokes into vector shapes. You'll need to merge all of these shapes, so let's click this Unite button from the Pathfinder panel. Make sure that the Direct Selection tool is active and use it to select these 4 points. Set the corners radius to only 1 pixel and then continue with this point. Select it and set the corners radius to 3 pixels. Now select this one and set the radius to 6 pixels. And finally for this one, you need to set the corners radius to 9 pixels. When you're done, select this entire shape and go to Effect, Restore and Transform, and Transform. First of all, set the number of copies to 1 and check this Reflect X box, and then set the Move Horizontal slider to -210 pixels. Click OK to apply this effect, and then go to Object and Expand Appearance to expand your effect. And now that you've got the antlers, you can continue with the head shape. First of all, you can press Ctrl and plus to zoom in on your shapes, and then you can select the ellipse tool from your toolbar. You'll need to create a 95 by 115 pixels ellipse. Move it in this exact position. Continue with the rectangle tool and create a 75 by 70 pixels rectangle. First of all, align the top edge of this rectangle with the bottom edge of the ellipse. Then drag your rectangle 35 pixels up. Now select both of these shapes. Click the ellipse to make it the reference shape, and just click this button to perfectly align your rectangle with the ellipse. Select just the rectangle, pick the Direct Selection tool and use it to select this anchor point. Drag it 20 pixels to the right and then select this other anchor point and move it 20 pixels to the left. Reselect the ellipse tool and this time use it to create a 100 by 40 pixels ellipse. Let's move it in this exact position. Switch to the anchor point tool and click these 2 points to turn them into sharp points. Now switch to the selection tool, hold down the Alt key and drag a copy of this shape to the left. Remember that you can also hold down the Shift key to constrain the movement of this copy. Place this copy in this exact location and then select these 4 shapes to merge them using this same button. When you're done, switch to the Direct Selection tool so that you can select these 4 anchor points and set the corners radius to 20 pixels. And then select these other 4 points and set the corners radius to only 5 pixels. Then you need to select all of your shapes and merge them using the same button. Again, press Ctrl and plus a few times to zoom in on your design and reselect the ellipse tool from your toolbar. This time you'll need a 50 by 20 pixels ellipse. You can press Shift and X to quickly swap the fill and stroke color settings, replace the black with orange, increase the weight to 10 pixels. Let's move this shape in this exact position. Then use the direct selection tool to select just these 2 points and delete them. Open the stroke flyout panel and select this same profile. Now hold down the Alt key and drag a copy of this path in this position. You can also use the reflect tool to flip this path. Reselect the ellipse tool from your toolbar. Let's create a 95 by 115 pixels ellipse. Drag it on top of your head shape like this. Again, increase the stroke weight to 10 pixels. Go to Object, Path, and add anchor points. Switch to the direct selection tool and let's scroll down so that you can see this bottom anchor point. Let's select these 5 anchor points, and when you're done, press the delete key to remove them. Keep this path selected and let's open the stroke flyout panel, and this time you need to select profile number 1. Now that you've got all of these orange paths, you need to select them all. Go to Object, Path, and Outline Stroke to turn them into vector shapes. Use the selection tool to select them along with your black logo and click the minus front button from the Pathfinder panel, and then reselect the direct selection tool from your toolbar to select these 4 points and set the corners radius to 3 pixels. Now click outside your selection to deselect it, press Ctrl and minus to zoom out a bit, and let's also add the neck. Select the rectangle tool from your toolbar. Use it to create an 85 by 60 pixels rectangle. Align it with the bottom edge of your logo. Then move it an extra 20 pixels down like this. Also make sure that your rectangle is perfectly aligned with the logo. When you're done, use the direct selection tool to select this point and drag it 15 pixels to the right. And then select this other point and move it 15 pixels to the left. Move down to these other 2 anchor points, select them and set the corners radius to 20 pixels. And then select your entire shape and go to Effect, Warp and Bulge. You'll need to check this vertical box and drag the bend slider to -30%. Click OK to apply the effect and expand it by going to Object and Expand Appearance. Now select your main logo shape, press Ctrl C to copy it, and then Ctrl Shift and V, which will add a copy in the same place but on top of the other shapes from your design. Keep this copy selected, hold down the Shift key and let's drag it 10 pixels down. Keep this copy selected and add to your selection this other shape. Make sure that you're holding down the Shift key to add this other shape to your selection. Click this minus front button from the Pathfinder panel and then select all of your shapes and let's turn them into a compound path. You can either press Ctrl and 8 or you can go to Object, Compound Path and Make. Now that you've got your logo, you can press Ctrl and 0 to zoom back on your entire artboard. Select your logo and make sure that the alignment is set to artboard, and then click these 2 buttons to move your selection to the center of the artboard. And now let's add a bit of color. First of all, select the rectangle tool from your toolbar to create the background. Let's create a shape which will cover the entire artboard. Double click the fill color and replace it with 2, 48 and 42. Click again these 2 buttons to easily center your selected shape. Move it behind the logo, select it and replace the black with 253, 227 and 168. Click OK to apply this change. Moving to the text, you can use this Envato Elements font or any other font that you prefer. Select the type tool and add your text as you wish. As a final touch, you could use a mockup like this one from Envato Elements to make your logo design stand out. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Remember to hit that like button as it lets me know that I did a good job. Subscribe if you aren't already, and don't forget to click that little bell icon to be notified of any new tutorials. I'm Andrei Marius, and I'll see you in the next video.